Something stinks about this whole situation, and I'm not talking about yesterday's fish. Why are we still watching Ace Green and Taylor Williams, two grown men who once called Nicolandria their friend, take every opportunity to drag her name through the mud? This isn't some innocent slip of the tongue or harmless shade between friends. This is calculated, methodical, and frankly, it reeks of desperation. The timing of Ace's recent podcast bombshell wasn't random. When he sat down with Speedy Mormon and decided to question the authenticity of Nicolandria, claiming Nick told him there's no romantic spark, that wasn't honesty, that was strategy. And if you think I'm reaching, stick around because the receipts are about to blow your mind. But before we dive into this messy tea, smash that subscribe button faster than Ace can backtrack on his comments. Trust me, you'll need notifications on for all the drama we're about to unpack. Plus, my subscriber count is looking lonelier than Taylor after Casa Amor, so help a creator out. Let's rewind to where this all started, because this beef didn't begin with a podcast interview. This goes back to the villa, to a moment that clearly left some egos bruised beyond repair. Remember when Ace and Taylor first tried to publicly humiliate Alandria? When they thought they had the perfect setup to send her packing? It was supposed to be their big power move. Ace dropping hints about wanting Coco to stay, Taylor pulling his whole Clark situation, all perfectly choreographed to make Alandria look foolish in front of America. They probably rehearsed their little performance, convinced they were about to execute the perfect blindside. But then Nic happened. Nic stood up, shut down their game, and their carefully crafted humiliation ritual crumbled like a house of cards in a hurricane. Instead of Alandria walking out embarrassed and defeated, she emerged stronger, more respected, and suddenly everyone was talking about how Nic protected her. That moment broke something inside both Ace and Taylor. They didn't just lose in the villa that day, they lost the narrative. They went from puppet masters to side characters in someone else's love story, and clearly they've never recovered from that ego bruising. Here's what's really eating them alive. Look at where everyone stands now. Alandria has magazine covers, brand deals, and a fan base that would go to war for her. She's become bigger than the show, bigger than their petty villa politics. Meanwhile, the only time Ace trends is when he's starting drama, and Taylor's most memorable moment post-villa is admitting producers made him waste Alandria's time. That's not power. That's parasitic behavior. They're literally feeding off her success because they can't generate their own relevance without her name attached to their mess. Think about the psychology here. These men watched a woman they underestimated not just survive their attempts to break her down, but thrive beyond anything they've achieved. Every brand deal she signs, every magazine feature, every moment she shines, it's a reminder of their failure to dim her light. So what do? They keep trying. This podcast situation isn't Ace being honest about his friend's relationship. It's round 2 of the same tired game plan that failed spectacularly the first time. Let's talk about Taylor's latest excuse, because this one really shows the depths of their hypocrisy. During his live stream, he admitted that producers influenced him to stay with Alandria, that it wasn't really his choice. But here's the million-dollar question that nobody seems to be asking. If that's true, why didn't he tell her? We saw other islanders in that villa say, "I'm not interested," without hesitation. But Taylor? He played along, let her invest emotionally, let her believe there was something real building between them. That's not being influenced by producers. That's making a conscious choice to deceive someone for your own benefit. And here's where it gets really rich. Ace was right there, watching this whole charade unfold. He even coached Taylor on how to secure his spot over Jalen, knowing full well that Jalen actually liked Alandria and could have given her something genuine. We saw the footage of Ace giving Taylor advice on how to manipulate the situation. But now Ace wants to stand on his soapbox talking about integrity. He wants us to believe he's some beacon of truth while admitting he was complicit in helping the producers deceive Alandria. The math isn't mathing, and the hypocrisy is showing. If Ace truly had concerns about Nick, if this was really about friendship and honesty, he's had countless opportunities for private conversations. They were at Disney together, at the reunion. They've had months to clear the air man to man. But instead, he chose to air his grievances on a podcast, knowing exactly how public and damaging the fallout would be. That's not transparency, that's theater. That's a calculated decision to cause maximum damage at the perfect moment when all eyes would be watching. When someone times their honesty to inflict the most pain possible, you have to question whether it's really about truth or just dressed up revenge. And let's be real about what Ace actually revealed in that interview. He essentially admitted that he was willing to pile on Nicolandria, knowing the death threats and adversity they faced, all because Nick gave what he called a diplomatic answer to a question about something Ace claims he doesn't even care about. In the same breath, he confessed to being an accomplice in Taylor's deception, helping waste Alandria's time while knowing she deserved better. But Nick owes him loyalty. Nick should have publicly defended him. The audacity is astronomical. Speaking of astronomical audacity, hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this deep dive into reality TV psychology. I promise future videos will be just as messy, just as detailed, and hopefully just as entertaining as watching Ace try to explain his way out of this mess. Here's the pattern that's impossible to ignore. Both Ace and Taylor have made careers out of staying relevant by attacking Alandria's success. Every time she reaches a new milestone, every time she secures a new opportunity, suddenly they have something to say. It's giving very much bitter ex energy, except they were never the main character in her story to begin with. They were supporting cast members who got written out of the plot and can't accept their reduced role. The fandom sees it clearly. When Taylor gets eliminated and his energy immediately shifts to resentment every time Alandria gets recognition, that's not coincidences. When Ace's most viral moments come from throwing shade at the couple everyone's rooting for, that's not integrity speaking, that's jealousy wearing a mask. Let me educate you on something called virtue signaling, because Ace just gave us a masterclass in it. Virtue signaling is when someone publicly expresses opinions or sentiments to demonstrate their moral superiority, using their perceived virtues as a smokescreen for less honorable behavior. For 40 minutes of that podcast, Ace fed the audience everything they wanted to hear. He talked about his integrity, his success, his position as a young Black man making moves in the industry. He painted himself as the righteous truth teller, the one brave enough to expose the fake relationships and clout chasers. But then, in the last 20 minutes, the mask slipped. Suddenly, he looked less like a moral authority and more like a 23-year-old having an ego tantrum because someone took his toy. The virtue signaling worked exactly as intended, though, because half the audience was so busy clapping for his earlier points that they missed how contradictory and petty his actual grievances were. That's the dangerous thing about virtue signaling. It makes people feel good about supporting someone without critically examining whether their actions match their words. Ace told everyone he was the good guy so convincingly that some forgot to notice when he started acting like the villain. Here's what really exposes the difference between genuine friendship and performative loyalty. While Ace and Taylor have made sport of publicly embarrassing and questioning Alandria, Nick has consistently done the opposite. Nick hasn't humiliated her in front of millions. He hasn't turned private conversations into public weapons. He hasn't used her name to generate buzz for his own content. In a world where image and reputation can make or break opportunities, that kind of protection is rare and valuable. When Ace stood up on that podcast stage, his silence about defending his so-called friend spoke volumes. When someone you care about is being attacked, your first instinct should be protection, not piling on. But Ace chose to add fuel to a fire that was already threatening to consume someone he claimed to value. The contrast is stark and telling. One man consistently shields her from unnecessary drama and speculation. The other men create it, broadcast it, and profit from the chaos. That tells you everything about their character and their real feelings about Alandria's success. The Love Island fandom isn't stupid. They see through manufactured drama and desperate attempts at relevance. When fans immediately called out Inez's character after his podcast appearance, when they questioned his motives and timing, that wasn't mob mentality. That was collective recognition of manipulation. Fans understand that if you truly want to address issues with friends, you do it privately first. If you genuinely care about someone's well-being, you don't expose them to additional scrutiny and speculation. And if you're really about integrity, your actions consistently match your words across all situations. The response from Nicolandria themselves was perfect too. Instead of engaging in a messy back and forth, they responded with grace and unity, letting their relationship speak for itself. That's the kind of maturity and security that can't be faked, and it stands in sharp contrast to the chaos their former villamates are creating. Let's zoom out for a moment and talk about the bigger picture. Because this situation represents something larger than just Love Island drama. Alandria is a dark-skinned Black woman who entered that villa knowing she'd face additional scrutiny, additional skepticism, and additional challenges that other contestants might never encounter. She's navigated death threats, constant questioning of her motives, and relentless speculation about her authenticity. Instead of her former friends easing that burden, they've chosen to add to it. Instead of using their platforms to uplift and protect, they've weaponized their voices to tear down. That's not just disappointing on a personal level, it's harmful on a cultural level. When Black women are already fighting for respect and recognition in spaces that weren't designed for them, the last thing they need is sabotage from people who should be allies. The fans who defend Nicolandria understand this. They're not just supporting a couple, they're supporting the idea that Black women deserve loyalty, protection, and celebration of their success. They're rejecting the narrative that says a Black woman's achievements are somehow less legitimate or more suspicious than anyone else's. If you believe in supporting creators who dig deeper into these important conversations, that subscribe button is looking mighty lonely. Plus, I've got more Love Island content coming that'll make your jaw drop faster than Issa's credibility after that interview. What we've witnessed isn't just about reality TV drama or social media beef. It's about the cost of betrayal and what happens when people you trust decide your success is a threat to their ego. Alandria has handled this situation with remarkable grace, but let's be honest about what she's endured. Imagine building friendships with people in an intense, unique environment, only to watch them turn your personal relationships into content for their own platforms. Imagine having your private conversations weaponized against you months later. The emotional toll of that kind of betrayal is real. When someone you considered family decides to exploit your vulnerabilities for clicks and views, it changes how you trust, how you share, and how you navigate future relationships. But here's what's beautiful about how this is played out. Instead of breaking Alandria down, these attacks have only highlighted her strength. Instead of isolating her, they've shown exactly who deserves her loyalty and who was never worthy of it in the first place. Every detail about when and how Ace chose to make his statements reveals the calculated nature of this attack. He didn't blurt this out in casual conversation. He didn't let it slip during an emotional moment.
He sat down for a formal interview with cameras rolling, knowing his words would be dissected and shared across every social media platform. That level of premeditation contradicts every claim about this being spontaneous honesty or genuine concern for his friends. This was a business decision disguised as friendship advice, a content strategy wrapped in the language of authenticity. The timing also reveals something else. Desperation. When your relevance depends on creating controversy around people who've moved beyond you, when your biggest moments come from tearing others down instead of building yourself up, that's not strategy. That's surrender to your own limitations.
This situation has implications beyond just these specific individuals. It highlights how reality TV contestants navigate post-show relationships and the pressures of maintaining relevance in an oversaturated market. When former cast members turn on each other for content, it creates a toxic environment that affects future seasons. Contestants start playing chess instead of seeking genuine connections, knowing that anything they share could later be used against them by people they trusted. It also shows audiences the difference between authentic personalities and calculated performers. The contrast between how different cast members have handled their post-Villa fame reveals character in ways that the show itself never could. Some people use their platform to lift others up, to create positive content, and to build genuine careers beyond reality TV drama. Others become professional pot stirrers, addicted to the temporary attention that comes from creating chaos.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the way masculinity plays into this entire situation. We have two men who couldn't handle being outshined by a woman they initially underestimated, and their response has been to try systematically tearing her down. That's not strength, that's insecurity. Real masculine energy would celebrate her success, protect her reputation, and find ways to elevate themselves without diminishing others. Instead, we're watching grown men throw tantrums because a woman they tried to embarrass ended up more successful than them. The contrast with Nick is instructive. He's shown what supportive partnership looks like, what it means to be secure enough in yourself that your partner's success feels like a win, not a threat. That's the kind of masculine energy that builds rather than destroys.
What we're really witnessing is a textbook case of revenge psychology. When someone's ego gets wounded, especially publicly, the desire to restore their sense of power can become consuming. Ace and Taylor experienced a very public failure when their original plan to humiliate Alandria backfired spectacularly. That kind of ego injury creates a psychological wound that some people can't heal from. Instead of using the experience for growth, instead of examining why their plan failed and what that revealed about their character, they remained stuck in that moment, trying to recreate the power they felt they lost. Revenge rarely satisfies the way people think it will, though. Each attempt to tear Alandria down only highlights their own inability to move forward, their own creative bankruptcy when it comes to building something positive from their experience. Social media has turned this situation into a spectator sport, but it's also revealed something important about audience intelligence. Fans aren't just passively consuming drama, they're actively analyzing motivations, calling out inconsistencies, and holding these reality stars accountable for their actions. The immediate backlash to A's comments wasn't random mob mentality. It was a collective recognition that his timing, his motives, and his methods were all wrong. Social media gave fans the platform to say what many were thinking. This isn't about truth or friendship. This is about damaged egos and calculated cruelty. That level of audience sophistication puts pressure on reality TV personalities to be more thoughtful about their public statements.
They can't just say whatever they want and expect blind support from their fan base. And speaking of smart audiences, you beautiful humans watching this are proof that people want deeper analysis, not just surface level gossip. Show me you're here for the psychology and the tea by hitting that subscribe button. Let's build a community that sees through the nonsense together. So where does this leave everyone involved? For Ace and Taylor, this situation has revealed something about their character that can't be unseen. They've shown that their friendship was conditional, that their loyalty was performative, and that their integrity is negotiable when their egos are involved. That has real consequences in an industry where relationships and reputation matter. Other reality TV stars, potential collaborators, and brands all take note when someone shows they're willing to throw friends under the bus for content. Trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to rebuild. For Alandria and Nic, this situation has only strengthened their position. They've handled attacks with grace. They've let their relationship speak for itself, and they've shown what it looks like to rise above the drama instead of rolling in it. The fans have also learned something valuable, that their loyalty and support can be a powerful force for accountability. When they collectively reject manufactured drama and support authentic connections, they influence the entire ecosystem of reality TV culture. At its core, this entire situation comes down to a simple question. What does real friendship look like? Is it supporting someone's success even when it surpasses your own? Is it protecting their reputation instead of exploiting their vulnerabilities? Is it addressing conflicts privately before airing them publicly? The answer seems obvious, but apparently it needs to be stated clearly. Real friends don't weaponize private conversations. Real friends don't time their concerns for maximum damage. Real friends don't build their own relevance on the foundation of someone else's pain. What Ace and Taylor have shown isn't friendship at all. It's transactional relationship masquerading as loyalty, ego protection disguised as honesty. They've revealed that their connection to Alandria was always conditional on her staying in what they considered her proper place. When she exceeded those limitations, when she achieved success they couldn't control or claim credit for, the mask came off. What we're left with is the truth. They were never really her friends at all. Here's what I'll leave you with. In a world where everyone's fighting for attention, where viral moments often come from tearing others down, there's something revolutionary about choosing to build instead of destroy. There's power in protecting instead of exposing, in celebrating instead of sabotaging. Alandria's story isn't just about reality TV drama. It's about what happens when someone refuses to be diminished by people who never deserved access to their light in the first place. It's about the importance of choosing partners and friends who see your success as their success, your wins as their wins. And for those of us watching, it's a reminder to be intentional about who we support, who we believe, and who we allow to shape the narratives we consume. We have the power to reject manufactured drama and celebrate authentic connections. We have the power to hold people accountable for their actions, not just their words. If you believe in supporting content that goes deeper than surface-level drama, that analyzes the psychology behind the headlines, and that stands up for people who deserve better treatment, then subscribe to this channel. Help me build a community that values truth, empathy, and accountability. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve friends who stand beside us when the world wants to tear us down, not friends who hand the world the weapons to do it. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for caring enough to want the full story. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your heart protected, and your standards high, because you deserve the kind of loyalty that Alandria is still waiting to receive from the people who once called her friend. The tea has been spilled, the receipts have been examined, and the truth has been told. Now it's up to all of us to decide what we do with that truth. Choose wisely.